The special council meeting of June 25th, 2020 will now please come to order. Due to this special council meeting being a virtual meeting, council is asking anyone who would like to address council that is participating through the computer to please use the chat feature now to let Clerk Mazzarello know you have a comment, and you will be called on during the comment portion of the meeting. If you are calling on a phone and do not have access to the chat feature, we will give directions during the public comment portion of our meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Broussard. Mr. Glassburn.
Here.
Ms. Heeman.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Limpert.
Present.
Mr. Schuman.
Here.
Ms. Williamson.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy, do you have a report this evening?
Madam President, no report.
Thank you. Assistant Law Director O'Malley, do you have a report this evening?
Madam Chairman, no, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Director Kopfer, do you have a report this evening?
No, Madam Chair, I do not.
Thank you. Moving into council committee reports, Councilwoman Williamson, Vice Chairwoman of the Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening, Madam President.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Williamson, as Chairwoman of the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schuman, Chairman of the Finance Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Madam President. I do. Finance met tonight, 6:25 at 7 o'clock. Present were committee members Schuman and Kelly, along with council people Heeman, Glassburn, Williamson, the mayor, Director Kopfer, the assistant law director, and guests. The agenda item was 2020-71, which is an ordinance to make and transfer appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of North Olmsted for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency. Primarily, this is to budget the local COVID relief fund, $758,000, $758,771.81 for the record. Additionally, we are purchasing a $5,000 trench box for the storm crew. There was also $330,000 in decreases from Park and Rec. These are mostly contractual and salary for the cancellations of the rec for the summer. Additionally, $10,000 has to return, deposits have to return for weddings out of Springvale's fund. This was recommended to council by committee 2-0, and the meeting ended at 7:13, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Limpert, Chairman of the Streets and Transportation Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report this evening, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Heeman, Chairwoman of the Environmental Control Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do not. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilman Glassburn, Chairman of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Madam President. Thank you very much. The Intergovernmental Relations Committee met this evening at 7:29. Present were committee members Glassburn, Heeman, and Glassburn, Schuman, and Heeman, as well as council members Jones, Limpert, Williamson, and Kelly. Additionally present were the mayor, Director Kopfer, Assistant Law Director O'Malley, Charter Review Chair Sturgeon, and guests. Up for consideration were Charter Amendments 2020-65 through 2020-70. In committee, There were amendments to 65 and to 67, which I'll get to in a moment. But our first topic was the discussion of the cost of the charter review amendments to put on the ballot and to advertise. Based on the good work of Clerk Massarillo, Director Kopfer, and myself, we ascertained that if this was 2016, the ballot issue would have cost us approximately $8,000, and for every charter amendment less, we would save about $500 in advertising costs. With that said, in the discussion, we amended Charter Review Recommendation 65 that concerned the Recreation Commission to change the ballot language, and I will address that later. And we also amended issue 67, which concerned the removal or putting back in the provisions concerning council must meet twice, language concerning vacations, and the ability of the mayor to recall the council during said vacations, as well as amending the language on the ballot to reflect those changes. Each of those amendments were passed 3-0. Onto the the voting on the amendments to recommend them to council. The Recreation -65 passed 3-0. The detachment language, number 66, passed 3-0. 67 concerning council meetings passed 3-0. 68 concerning form of legislative action was recommended 2-1. 69 concerning the Charter Review Commission meeting times and appointments was 3-0. And 2020-70 concerning electronic public meetings passed 3-0. The meeting was wrapped up at 8 p.m. And at this time, I would move to amend 2020-65's ballot language to read as follows. I can bring it up. Shall Article 7, Section 3 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted be amended to reallocate the responsibilities of the Parks and Recreation Commission to the full-time staff of the City of North Olmsted, and thereby abolish the Parks and Recreation Commission and its required duties for volunteers? And I will ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to amend Ordinance 2020-65 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Schuman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-65 is amended with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, President Jones. If it is appropriate at this time, I will move to further amend 2020-67 for the ballot language to read as follows. Shall Article 4, Section 7 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted entitled Meetings be amended to authorize the City Council to establish its meeting calendar dates, times, locations, and to permit the Council to conduct City Council meetings via internet-based platforms? And I will further move to amend the amendment language in Section 7 Meetings, Section A, to read as follows. A, regular meetings, the council shall meet at such times and at such locations and or via electronic methods as may be prescribed by its rules, regulations, ordinances, or bylaws, however, not less than twice during each calendar month, excepting that council may provide for its vacation during the months of July or August, and during such period is subject to the call of the mayor. And I will ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to amend ordinance 2020-67 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilman Schuman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Schuman,
Yes.
Ms. Heeman,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-67 is amended with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And Councilman Kelly, Chairman of the Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. The Recreation, Public Parks and Building Committee met tonight at 7:13 p.m. President was committee members Kelly and Heeman, Council President Jones, Councilman Limpert, Councilman Schuman, Councilwoman Williamson, the mayor, the finance director, the assistant law director, and guests. We discussed 2020-72 and 2020-73. 2020-72 covers the architectural service and the RFP process for the, I'll just read it, it's easier. A resolution dispensing with the RFP process and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with John Patrick Picard Architect Incorporated for the purpose of providing architectural services for the North Olmsted City Hall Public Health Improvement Project and declaring an emergency. This is on here because of the time it has to go quickly. 2020-73 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for the reward of a contract to provide construction services for the North Olmsted City Hall Public Health Improvement Project as detailed in the specifications on file in the Department of Planning and Community Development, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder. The high points of this is simply that they're going to do the main entry, the lobby of City Hall, which would make it safer for employees and for the public. And the money that's coming out of the COVID-19 money has to be encumbered by October with the work done by December. So after some discussion, it was approved, both of the ordinances, 2020-72, 2020-73 were approved to go to full council with a vote of 2-0. And we ended the meeting at 7:29.
Thank you. Are there any letters or communications to come before council at this time?
No, Madam President.
Thank you for joining our meeting tonight. At this time, council will hear comments from the public. Please remember to state your name and address for our clerk. If you live in a city other than North Olmsted, please state the name of that city. We will start with those who have notified us via chat. Anyone who has not notified us via the chat feature who would like to comment, please unmute your device and start your comment when prompted. Council Clerk, has anyone notified you that they would like to comment?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. At this time, if there is anyone else who would like to comment, please address council now. Mr. Sturgeon.
Jeff Sturgeon, 3092 West 231. I'd just like to say on your trench box that you guys need to considering buying for tonight, I think that's extremely important. Those of you who don't know what a trench box does, I can tell you as a plumber, a trench box, especially for a sewer crew, will save your life if a trench is caving in. $5,000 is nothing. If you get somebody in a ditch, and that trench box is what holds the sides of that ditch from caving in, and I think it's a no-brainer. You know, that they should have probably already had 3 of them by now. So that's just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Sturgeon. Seeing no other comments from our audience, we will now move into legislation.
Legislation on second reading. Ordinance 2020-65, introduced by Mayor Kennedy and Council Members Glassburn and Heeman. An ordinance providing for the submission of an amendment to the electors of the City of North Olmsted to Article 7, Section 3 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted for the purpose of eliminating the Parks and Recreation Commission and reassigning the duties of the commission to the administrative staff and declaring an emergency as amended. Ordinance 2020-66, introduced by Mayor Kennedy and Council Members Glassburn and Heeman. An ordinance providing for the submission of an amendment to the electors of the City of North Olmsted to Article 1 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted for the purpose of conforming the charter to revised code requirements regarding detachment of land and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2020-67, introduced by Mayor Kennedy and Council Members Glassburn and Heeman. An ordinance providing for the submission of an amendment to the electors of the City of North Olmsted to Article 4, Section 7 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted for the purpose of 1, authorizing the council to establish council meeting dates and locations, 2, eliminating the requirement that council meetings occur in council chambers, and 3, authorizing council meetings to be conducted via electronic format and declaring an emergency as amended. Ordinance 2020-68, introduced by Mayor Kennedy and Council Members Glassburn and Heeman. An ordinance providing for the submission of an amendment to the electors of the City of North Olmsted to Article 4, Section 11 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted for the purpose of requiring a statement of necessity when the requirement of three readings of legislation is suspended and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2020-69, introduced by Mayor Kennedy and Council Members Glassburn and Heeman. An ordinance providing for the submission of an amendment to the electors of the City of North Olmsted to Article 14 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted to require appointments to the Charter Review Commission to occur before January 1st, and further requiring the recurring five-year review and report of the commission to be completed and submitted to the council not later than May 31st of the year in which a review occurs, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2020-70, introduced by Mayor Kennedy and Council Members Glassburn and Heeman. An ordinance providing for the submission of an amendment to the electors of the City of North Olmsted to Article 15 of the Charter of the City of North Olmsted for the purpose of allowing city meetings, including all board and commission meetings, to be convened and conducted via an electronic format and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2020-71, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. An ordinance to make and transfer appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the City of North Olmsted for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency. Resolution 2020-72, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution dispensing with the RFP process and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with John Patrick Picard Architect, Inc. for the purpose of providing architectural services for the North Olmsted City Hall Public Health Improvements Project and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 2020-73, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide construction services for the North Olmsted City Hall Public Health Improvements Project as detailed in specifications on file in the Department of Planning and Community Development, and authorizing the mayor, following approval of the Board of Control, to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder.
Is there a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Councilman Broussard from tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to excuse the absence of Councilman Broussard from tonight's meeting made by Councilman Schuman, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schuman?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Councilman Broussard has been excused from tonight's meeting with a vote of 6-0. There will be a special council meeting on Tuesday, June 30th at 8 p.m. With the agenda being completed and there being no further business to come before council, this special council meeting of June 25th, 2020 is adjourned at 8:20 p.m.